Hi again. We've been mixing colors and working with some color wheels, and I promised that we're going to start on a painting, and we're going to do that. I felt like using a little bit more of a warm palette this time. I've selected some really warm colors, some lemon yellow, some cad yellow deep, some cad orange. That's an expensive color, by the way, if you go to the art store and try to buy some. And I put some rose madder and also some of this, I think it's called the Viridian, in here, and I'm going to use that as a color mixer. I'm going to go ahead and select that as a brush and put that in my palette over here. Let's see, from custom brush, and I'll be able to pick those colors now anytime I want them. So I'll just go to my swap screen here by pressing J. Get rid of that. You can clear your current brush selection by pressing the period on the keyboard, by the way, and then I'll just give you a single pixel brush. That's a little shortcut you can use. So I'm going to use the particle tool today, the bristle brush, part of the particle system. I'm going to select a, I believe it's just a round brush. This is a brush that is round in shape, but it reacts to the pressure sensitivity by having a very fine point, and the more you press down on it, it'll give you a little thicker. It's similar to the round, the barber's brush, but that gives you a thicker brush all the time. So I'm going to use this round brush. Use this selection here that's fairly opaque. It's called highly smeary paint. Fairly opaque, but it's very smeary as well. And I'm going to paint an orange today. That's why I'm using that warm palette. I'm going to set this orange right here on my keyboard. Hopefully it will stay put. And I'm just going to start sketching here out the shape, which is not terribly complicated. Using Control Z in this case for undo. This is not the roundest orange in the world. A navel orange, and it looks pretty good. I'll probably eat it when I get done here. Vitamin C is good for you, right? There's a little bit of a light spot right there, and I'm going to keep that in the background and add another layer. And while I'm on the subject of layers, I'd like to cover some ideas here. In a couple of previous tutorials, we used glazing, and that is in painting terms where you lay down one set of colors. Let me use some of this cad yellow over here. Let me use my color picker, in fact. Let me lay down a little bit of that cad yellow right there. Let me put some over here as well. And just like with traditional colors, traditional paint mediums, when you mix colors together, they can tend to turn a little bit muddy. As you see there, it's getting a little bit grayish looking. But if we were to let that dry on a piece of canvas or paper, and then when it was dry, we go over it with another layer, you see there'd be a slightly different result here. It's not huge, but you can see there's a difference between this over here and this over here. This is a little more orange in nature, whereas this is turned a little bit muddy, and then there's some that's a little bit opaque, and there's some kind of this in between. It's not quite as appealing, but over here you see it's kind of blended into a more interesting color, and also we have some of those textures from underneath showing through, so it just becomes generally more interesting, as you can see there as well. Some of the previous textures as well as some of the new ones I just dropped on there. So that's called glazing when we do that, and we let one layer dry and then start working another layer. In the case of the computer, where we go to another layer and start adding some on top of that. So I'll go ahead and clear these layers, and I'll start working on this orange using my my lighter colors first. I'll start with that. I'll start right in on a little bit of an orange color, and I think I'll start on some yellow first. And I'm going to leave this area more or less white. As there's kind of a hot spot there. I'm going to do the same here. There's some white. There's some rather a little light spots there. I'm going to leave this white right in here for now. Kind of going by my orange I have sitting on my keyboard, and to stop every moment, a few moments, and take a look at what I'm actually looking at. Then I'm going to go ahead and start blocking this in. Let's see. This is just a base coat right now, but laying down a little bit of color. Also a little bit of a light color on this side is kind of picking up some spill light coming off my table that's reflecting down off of the sky there. That's not going to be white when I get done with it, but I'm going to leave the yellow out of it. It'll be more of a I don't know what color, more of a grayish color maybe by the time I get done with it. I'm not really sure, but it's not going to have that yellow in there. In fact, I might take some of this yellow back out right here, because there's a dark spot on here. It doesn't need to be too warm. You gotta be careful, because when you start mixing those colors, they do start to turn a little gray. I will use that right there, in fact, just like that. Let's see. Since I'm working with these yellows, I'll go ahead and mix some more yellow, a little warmer yellow right in with that. Remembering to look down every once in a while to take a peek at my orange. I'm going to add another layer. Well, I have one already, so I'll keep that. I'm going to go ahead and add some, well, some deeper orange for one, right in here. Let's see. I'm not quite getting what I want right there. I need a little brighter orange right there, perhaps. And you can see as these colors blend together here. That's just what I wanted right there. As you can see, with the yellow is shining through that previous layer, we're getting a more intense orange here and less intense there, and that's where that shadow is going to be. I don't want my shadow to be too warm a color. I want it to be a little bit cooler down in there. Not being too concerned with details at this point. I kind of like the freer style. I used to be detail oriented, but it kind of went away, and I just like playing with the colors, kind of modeling in the colors anymore. Alright, I'm going to add another layer on top of that now. Oh, in fact, I might go and use this bottom layer and add just a little more yellow in this, kind of to intensify this orange still some more, even yet more. It's okay to change your mind. That's a great thing about working on layers. If you make a mistake, well, you haven't ruined your whole picture anyway. Yeah, that's maybe a little too intense for what I intended, but that's not bad, really. Let's see. I might go take a little bit of that back out down here. Just picked up my white, and I wanted to see a little bit of that texture that I left in there, so I just put some of that back in. It's okay to leave brush strokes and things in there if you want to. We're all adults here, right? We can do it the way we want to do it, right? I'll add a little bit more of that shadow in where that navel thing there is. Bring out that shape. And let's not forget there's also a shadow underneath here. So I'll drop that down in there a little bit. This color, I might put this on another layer. Let's see. A layer. We'll start dropping that shadow in there. We'll use a couple of different layers to get the final color of that shadow in there. But we'll start with this nice rose madder color here. Let's see. Keep remembering to look down at what I'm drawing every now and again. Alright, while I've got this rose madder, I'm going to go ahead start putting some of these details in here a little more. And look around and make sure. Let's see if I can find a light version of that. I've got kind of a mauve selected. I'm going to use that for my dark on this side. I might want to go a little darker, but it's kind of nice to blend it in. Let's see what's right here. And I want a little bit of blue up in here. I'm getting some sky on the color of the sky on there. I'll do that in just a bit. I want to make sure I got this shadow area right. So I was going to use a little dark color right here. That's pretty good. Don't want to ruin that shadow I just dropped in there. And getting pretty close on one layer, and I'll start using that sky color. I don't want to get into this green though. I want to use this kind of that iridium though. Let me see. I don't want to get too green with it. I think it will complement that pretty well. And right here, getting a little too green again. I want to use a little lighter version of that. And this will be my shadow color right here. And that is a pretty good match for what I'm looking at. But whoever said it had to be perfect, we're the artist, and I get a chance to say what it is, what it looks like. That's just what it looks like to us, I guess. And I said I was going to put some of that sky color now, very light blue. Just drop that right on top of there. And we're basically done. That is our orange. We could go ahead and add a lot more to this if we wanted to. We could, you know, add some details. We could put all these little dimples on here. We could really do a lot to bring this out. We could put some art lines on there, whatever we wanted. But we could finish the. I could draw on my keyboard if I wanted to, you know. But that has a pretty good start on it, anyways. And that is our first tutorial on working with the glazing by using layers. And we've also mixed a palette for this, so we had a limited color palette, and that is just basically some of the basic things you can do with natural painting in PD Howler.